Now this meeting, Board of Supervisors together, pledge allegiance to Supervisor Marlino. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome everybody today. I'll ask the clerk to do the roll call, please.
All right, Mr. Conover.
Here.
Mr. Leggett.
Here.
Mr. Diamond.
Here.
Mr. McDevitt.
Here.
Ms. Bramer. Mr. Bruno.
Here.
Mr. Driscoll.
Here.
Mrs. Frazier. Here. Mr. Gerasi.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Dickinson.
Here.
Mr. Merlino.
Here.
Mr. Stroud.
Here.
Mr. Wild. Mr. McGowan.
Here.
Mr. Beatty.
Here.
Ms. Steck. Mr. Thomas.
Here.
Ms. Runyon. Here. Chairman Garrity.
Here.
Quorum is established.
Okay. Now I'll open up the privilege of the floor and any public comment. Just ask that you step up to the podium and list your name and residency for our record. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chris Duffy, representing SUNY Adirondack. Thank you for just a few minutes. And just again, I appreciate all of the partnership work that we do with our supervisors. Thank you for your support to this point. And, as the college is, of course, very proud of serving this community for over 60 years. I did just ask a couple of our business leaders in the community to speak about their experience working with the college. So I'd like to introduce Ray Agnew, which many of you know, Vice President for Hospital and Community Engagement at Glens Falls Hospital, and Bill Hart, Vice President for U.S. Business Operations for Irving Consumer Products. So turn it over to them.
Thank you, Dr. Duffy. Chairman Garrity, Administrator Taflin, distinguished members of the board, thank you for a few minutes to talk with you about one of the most important and influential organizations in our region, and that's SUNY Adirondack. I started my career in 1980 at SUNY Geneseo and then spent 18 years with the SUNY system. And at the time I started at SUNY Geneseo, Chancellor Ernie Boyer, who was the former Federal Commissioner of Education, had recently retired as Chancellor of the SUNY system. But I had a chance to hear him speak early on at a SUNY-wide conference. And then when I went to work for SUNY Empire State College in the early 90s, a college that he actually founded with Jim Hall, I had a chance to get to know he and Kay quite a bit better. And if I heard him say it once, I heard him say it 100 times, that the crown jewel of the SUNY system is the community college. Absolutely, the crown jewel of the SUNY system is the community college. And he modeled with Jim Hall the makings of Empire State College to sort of fit that same footprint, so that Empire State College would be around where there are community colleges, and we'd be able to continue to have a feeder system, not only for young people coming out of high school, but for older students who are looking to continue their education as well. I can tell you that the importance of SUNY Adirondack to Glens Falls Hospital can't be underestimated. We need more healthcare workers. We need nurses. Right now, we have a dozen students from SUNY Adirondack who are doing externships, full-time shifts, clinical shadowing at the hospital right now. And I can tell you without hesitation that if we were able to tomorrow, we'd hire every last one of them. And then we would also help them to further their education so that they could get their BSNs and be certified nurses moving forward. We cooperate regularly with SUNY Adirondack. We consider them important partners, and we've wanted to do everything we can, along with other healthcare partners in the region, such as HHN, to help them offer the services they need to their students, but do it at a reduced cost in a way that makes it more affordable. So, for example, they contract with us for a nurse on campus, and HHN brings their healthcare van mobile unit to campus on a regular basis. one of the things I did want to address today is that there's some misconceptions, and probably you folks are aware of this because I know you study this and you've looked at the budget carefully, but some misconceptions that the public may not have about SUNY and about our community colleges. A lot of people consider SUNY as a state-funded organization. Well, it was in the early days, and then it became state-supported, and now I would say it's state-assisted. In reality, SUNY Adirondack receives under 24% of its budget from New York State. Now, SUNY did receive a huge increase in the 2023-24 budget. That's true. But most folks don't understand that that did not include the SUNY community colleges. That money went only to the four-year colleges and universities. SUNY Adirondack state support did not increase at all. It's exactly the same as it was last year. A lot of folks think that maybe SUNY Adirondack tuition is too high or that it's out of sync with the rest of the system. I can tell you that according to the Community College Review, SUNY Adirondack is ranked among the top 20% of the most affordable colleges in the United States. And there are 30 community colleges in the SUNY system. SUNY Adirondack is the 8th least expensive. So more than 2/3 of the community colleges in New York State are more expensive to attend than SUNY Adirondack. And it has tremendous positive regional impacts, 4% return on every dollar invested. 68% of the graduates from SUNY Adirondack leave with no debt. That's an absolutely remarkable statistic that you wouldn't find at almost any other college in the country. And tuition remains under the TAP minimum, which is important. The budget increases sought this year address some real needs. They have equipment on campus, trucks, for example, that are more than 20 years old. They need to upgrade campus technology. They kept tuition flat during the pandemic and enacted a 1% austerity budget. But the time has come to invest, and we're not looking for a huge investment, but we have to keep investing in this incredible resource to make sure that we have access for our students and for our businesses that rely on that pipeline. Chancellor Boyer was right. SUNY Adirondack provides access and a place to start for many who would not otherwise be able to attend college. It offers important and popular majors that feed our local industries and helps keep our young people here in town. It provides a pathway to continued higher education through great partnerships with other colleges. And I thank you for your time. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Any questions? Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Bill Hart. Thank you for taking a little bit of time to hear myself talk about SUNY Adirondack, and thank you, Ray and Dr. Duffy, and for everyone here. I'm here today not as a business leader. I'm here as a volunteer, like all of you. I want to commend all of you for donating your time to make our community a better place. And that's what I think about SUNY Adirondack. I think it's one of those few institutions that really brings the community together and pulls together very positive forces coming out of it. And so Ray did a really nice job talking about the facts, the figures, the impact that this college has on the area. I'm going to talk a little bit more from a personal level. And so I'm an alumni of the college. I was there 1990 through 92. I, like many students that attended SUNY Adirondack, I was a local person growing up in Sucklands Falls, and I found myself with that choice to attend SUNY Adirondack. I was at a point in my life where I wasn't ready emotionally, financially, or academically to take on a four-year institution. And so that is a critical piece for our local students, having that opportunity to attend such a great institution as SUNY Adirondack. And so, for myself, it's where I found myself academically. It's where I really started to click, academically, and then leading into a professional life. But having went on to a four-year degree and then an MBA, I'll tell you the quality of the education received at that institution was as good, if not better, than any other college I've attended. The professors, the atmosphere, everything about it is just super high quality. And so I find myself returning at this stage of my career. I'm the foundation president for the college. So I spend my time volunteering for the college that gave me so much to try to give back to the community. So I'm an investor of the college personally. My business, Urban Consumer Products, is an investor of the college as well. And we, as the foundation, try to bring in as many dollars from the community to support such a great institution. And we've done some really remarkable things at the college. If you haven't had a chance to take a walk on campus lately, it has been transformed. I am so proud every time I drive through that campus. And congratulations, Dr. Duffy, and your leadership team and the board for all the great work done over the years there. So I'm here just to really ask for your support to continue what is one of the great traditions and one of the great assets for our region. And so, I do want you to think about, how do you evaluate what this means to the community? There's the financial, there's the facts, but there's also the support for our community, for our students, for our kids. And so it's critically important. And I know you all know that. I know you're dealing with a really tight budget. I live that every day of my life. And I know decisions are tough, but this is one that I think is table stakes for our community. As we are the largest employer in Washington County, similar to Ray, we started, Irving Tissue invested in the first class of the mechatronics program at SUNY Adirondack. And I said to Dr. Duffy, I will hire every single kid that comes through it. And we will take every kid that comes through SUNY Adirondack. And again, we don't think of it as philanthropy. We think about it as an investment. They are our workforce partners, and it has never been so critical for your local employers to have that asset in the community. So again, just wanted to say thank you for your consideration. Thank you for your support over time. And hopefully we'll get to the point where we're all really celebrating the next steps for SUNY Adirondack, because the future is bright there. So thank you everyone for your time. I'm going to head back to work. So enjoy the rest of your meeting.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to address the board today? Sure.
Travis Whitehead, Queensbury. I didn't come here to talk about SUNY Adirondack. Actually, I also agree with the previous several speakers that it's a great asset to the community. What I did come here to talk about was to just warn the board and to beware when you are asked to make a decision on a short timeline. It has had some disastrous effects in the past. I can tell you, and probably Mr. Caimano there can confirm this, that when the Siemens contract was approved by this board, it was done at the last meeting of the year. And the reason, ostensibly, according to the minutes that I read, was because we were going to lose a $15,000 grant that was going to expire in a few days if we didn't go ahead and do this. Well, they did it. And as you well know now, years later, that cost the county about $450,000 a year, right up to the point that they unloaded that property onto Centers Healthcare. And that was also done. That decision was also made on December 28th of 2015. You can't get much closer. And the reason was that we need to get this done before the end of the year. So when someone comes to you and say this, there's time constraints here, maybe that's not a good enough reason to vote that day. But when we did sell Centers, and I'll go into it because you have to be blind not to, or deaf or whatever, not to have seen what the AG has done. The New York Attorney General has done in the last couple of days, and that is sued Centers Healthcare on 4 of their properties. Doesn't happen to be one of these, but they picked 4 that they say defrauded New York State and Medicaid out of $83 million. But worse than that, put their charges into jeopardy, made them wallow in feces, etc. Thank you, Mr. Conlon. Would you please put that down? When we sold that to Centers, it was rated 4-star, 4 stars out of 5. It was a good nursing home. Lloyd Cody had turned that place around in the last couple of years. It was performing very well. With the loss of the cogen, it would have been profitable. And they took good care of the residents, most importantly. But, you know, it is now 1 star. If you look at it, there's a asterisk next to it. It says not only is it 1 star, but I can't find any other one in the state that's registered this way, but it has been cited for abuse. This is our nursing home, Westmount, now called Warren County Centers. And there's 6 people in this room, I won't mention their names, who voted for that sale, 2 that voted against it. The two that voted against it should feel vindicated, but discussed it at the same time as I did. Put a lot of energy into making sure you had all the facts. And it still got, actually, you didn't have all the facts because we found out after the fact that the reason for a last minute switch from Mr. Rosenberg owning that home to a Mr. Greenberg owning that home, who was a low-level employee of Mr. Rosenberg, was that at the time, Mr. Rosenberg had several critical allegations against him of abuse at other nursing homes that he owned. And because of that, the Department of Health would not grant the transfer. We found out later that there were some people that are in this boardroom right now that were aware of that at that time. Didn't necessarily make everyone else aware of that. I don't know to what extent that did, but certainly the top people were aware that there was a problem going on. I'm actually told that it was Mr. Steck that helped smooth that over with the Department of Health at that time. Again, I don't know if that's true, but it makes a lot of sense now looking back at it. At any rate, when someone comes to you and says, yeah, you got to make a decision in a hurry. No, you don't. No, you don't. And I'll be back here to discuss the resolutions in a few minutes.
Anybody else wish to address the board?
Chairman Garrity, supervisors, I am here representing Mayor Collins of the city of Glens Falls in support of the amending resolution number 37 of 2023, authorizing certain applicants in the disbursement of tax for Warren County Winter Coalition, a nonprofit corporation. The mayor wanted the supervisors to understand how important coalitions and collaboratives are in Glens Falls and how we've worked very closely with these coalitions. And he would like to make sure you all know that he supports this. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll move on to reading of resolution.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I wanted to speak. Thank you. I just wanted to start off with a really positive note of reading the paper this morning and seeing Sergeant Rocky Gerard on the front page with Deputy Nick Milligan from Saratoga Sheriff. It wasn't a big write-up, but it was, to me, it was an honor to see one of our sheriffs, an off-duty sheriff, jumping in with another county sheriff and rescuing 2 people in Corinth. And I just wanted to put it out there that I hope everybody saw that and that and to recognize that you know, the teamwork that our sheriffs in both counties have of working together. And I'm very proud of Sergeant Rocky Gerard for for coming in off duty. Looked like maybe vacationing up there. So I just wanted to come out and say that. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to reading of resolutions.
Okay, proposed resolution numbers 326 through 328 were distributed unintroduced to the members of the Board of Supervisors on Tuesday, June 27th, 2023, which met the requirements of the rules of the board. All three resolutions were approved by the Finance Committee this morning, and introduced copies of those resolutions are in your folders.
Okay, we'll have discussion on resolutions, first from the public and then from the board members. Anybody from the public wish to speak on resolutions? Mr. Whitehead? Yeah, I understand.
Thank you, Mr. Garrity. I've heard many times during my life, people say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. It appears that you're poised to do just that. If you go ahead, there are reasons why you say that you shouldn't give more than $50,000 at a whack out of tax money to any one event. And now you are going to consider undoing that promise to yourself, not just a little bit, but 60 times. So you're going to have 60 eggs in a basket that could get crushed very easily if climate change is real, if the weather is not hospitable, amenable towards these events next year, if there is a pandemic, lockdowns, etc. These are things that certainly can and have happened. You could lose that entire basket of eggs. It would be irresponsible to go ahead and do that, I feel, particularly without any collateral, any backup. You know, there's a thought that this is kind of like a loan. Mr. Hellman says, no, it's not. And no, it's not. It could very well end up being $3 million out of your pocket. And the loss of 60 other events that you could have put forward. That would be a catastrophe for this area. So I would just like to say, please don't put all your eggs in one basket, and consider what the discussion will be over the next half hour or so before you vote on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm not even sure if this is the right time to speak, but I have the opportunity. And thank you, Mr. Whitehead. These discussions like that keeps everything honest. And I really appreciate your comments and concerns on it. Certainly we had those concerns as well. I'm with the Winter Coalition. My name is Sam Luciano from the Fort William Henry. We have vetted this process. I know it is a lot of money, and I know it seems like a last minute decision. We've been vetting this process since February 8th. We have looked at many different companies. We brought the companies up here to Warren County. We have talked to them. We have negotiated with them. We have the power team, as I call it, put together of business people in the area. And if you look at the risk of the OCTAX money that is a surplus, if you look at what Ice Castles brings to the table and what they've done over the last 2 years, our numbers are conservative. And we believe it's going to be much greater than that. This is an event that will change Warren County. This is a game changer. This solves the problem for businesses that have been plagued for my 40 years at Fort William Henry. When it's July 13th on a Wednesday, we're renting 175 rooms. When it's December 6th, we're renting one room and our housekeeping staff is laid off. This is an opportunity for us to do the right thing. And if you go back to the studies that have taken place, I go back to the Pinnacle Report of 2006, DEC put a white paper out in 2010, BBG and G 2016. They all cited events are the way to go. Most recently, Roost posted a study for Lake Placid, and they cited events are the game changer. Events are what bring in the off season. So we know it's a big deal. We know it's a big number, and we know it's last minute, and we apologize. The work that has to go forward between Monday and when the event takes place is enormous. You have a volunteer of many people in this room that have dedicated their time freely, I might add. The coalition will be a not-for-profit coalition. We're not looking to make a profit. We're looking to put heads in beds, and we're going to put seats in restaurants. That's our goal. That's our only goal. I'm not sure if this is my time, and I apologize. I don't do this every day. I know we have Moment Factory, I believe, still on the line. Mr. Chairman, is now the time to bring them on to do their presentation? Or do I have to take a seat and come back up?
We'll do that now.
Okay.
If does the board object to see a moment? No?
So I'd like to introduce Catherine and I'm sorry, I got the wrong glasses on, from Moment Factory. Moment Factory is the company that we vetted, that we brought in from Montreal, Canada. And I'd like them to present their ideas and what they can talk about today. So Catherine, Heather, is Catherine online there?
Yes, thank you. We're really glad to be here and for the chance to develop this new experience format in Lake George, featuring winter nostalgia and warmth, and especially at Fort Henry. As Sam mentioned, when we visited Fort Henry in May, it just confirmed us that we are working with winning condition for this project. So we're glad to be here with you all today to support the coalition and their project.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having us and for allowing us to speak. So yes, we are Catherine and Catherine, the duo from Moment Factory. I am a business development manager with the company, and my colleague Catherine is a line producer. And we've both been with the company for several years now. Perhaps if we can just say a word in supporting the coalition for this Lake George winter programming experience. Some of you might know, Moment Factory is a multimedia studio that's been in operations for over 20 years. We count on a multidisciplinary team of over 400 people. Our skills spanning across multimedia and programming, but also production, project management, technical design, just to name a few. That thus places us amongst the biggest players in our field, and we are truly pioneers in the creation and design of multimedia experiences and in unconventional sites. You may have heard of our Lumina Night Walk series. They consist of nighttime enchanted night walks in natural sites, which we've been producing now for over 10 years, and of which there are now 18 across the world. We've also been very fortunate to integrate our skill set into public infrastructure and transportation hubs, like most recently the newest Newark Airport Terminal, but also working in marquee landmarks such as the Sagrada Familia in Barcelona and Hôtel des Invalides in Paris. We understand this is a notable project for Lake George. Some of you have used the term game changer. And the project we propose to move forward with will utilize cutting edge technology and combining it to the learnings we've gained over the course of our 500 plus projects to create a truly magical winter attraction in Lake George. We're really confident that by combining our expertise, the coalition's diversified and experienced team, we can create a weatherproof, sustainable, and profitable project that not only Lake George's communities will benefit from, but all of Warren County. Thank you again for having us today, and we refer you to members of the coalition for any further questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. And Catherine, it's been a pleasure to work with you so far, hopefully into the future. I don't have a PowerPoint. We do have a PowerPoint to show you if you want to load it up. We distributed it to the board. Many of the answers are in there. The videos that we've shown to many members shows the grandest of Moment Factory, a very large company. It will be of grand scale. And Mr. Whitehead, I invite you up to my office to have lunch with me someday. If you can, I'd love to show you the whole plan in detail. I think you'll be very impressed.
That's not the point. Thank you.
I understand. In closing, a unanimous vote from the board would be outstanding today because it shows we're unified in tourism. You've been great stewards of the money. Thank you for supporting CVB and many other initiatives of tourism. But a unanimous vote today would really show this community, show the media, we're unified for this project and in tourism. And with that, I'll answer any questions you have.
I don't think there's any questions. Hey, anybody else? Yeah, question. I really. Go ahead, one question.
Sure.
So have you looked at any other sources of funding? For instance, the Oregon Washington IDA has a division called the Oregon Washington CDC. They will put together bonds, tax refund. They'll defray mortgage taxes, etc. They did this recently with
I know.
YMCA in Silver Bay. This is something that we have these economic development organizations there to provide things like this, and they could be looked at. In addition, you have the one LBC, which is sitting on well over $1 million that hasn't been, just sitting there. I'd rather see that disappear, than something that gets used all the time. These $50,000 events. That's another avenue that you could pursue. And I hope that you would, because this does sound, I think everyone would agree that if we could get tourism to be more year round, it would be a benefit not only for the hotels, but for all residents as well. So from that standpoint, I support the idea. I support the way of trying to get it funded.
Sam, we need to move on. Any other comments? And we have another person. Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, good luck.
I'm going to get you guys. Yeah, I will get you.
You still have 20 members here, don't you? I got the impression I was the only one that was being beaten up by Mr. Whitehead. Let's talk about the octax. Just for those who haven't. Over there is John Strow, and directly across from John, I sat there for 16 years. Across from me was the late Bill Kenny. Bill Kenny and I worked for 4 years to put the octax together. Basically, it was because we all kind of talked about it. We wanted to help a small business to get started. And how does a small business generally fail? Because they don't put enough money in the kit when they start out in order to have money for PR and for advertising, so we can get people to come to their store or whatever they got. So we thought we should help. Where would that come from? I agree that we shouldn't just go out and get money from somewhere, and we certainly shouldn't ask the taxpayers to pay it when we have already make stuff, money to go through, to come from. All of us in this room, probably most of us in this room, go on vacation somewhere. And it occurred to us that we were just throwing our money somewhere else. We didn't have a octax. We didn't have other people coming to visit us and leave a little tax for us. We, on the other hand, were going to Florida, to wherever you were going to go. And you couldn't go anywhere in this country without paying tax. So the octax was born, but it was born to do one thing and one thing only. It was born to help a company, small and large, to get started and follow the rules. As long as you follow the rules, and there are companies right now that use the tax, and they follow the rules. If you do that, I think it's a great way to do it. A bad way to do it, in my opinion, and if I sat in John's seat today, I would scream there bloody murder, was to use the general fund. We can't ask the taxpayers to do that, but we can ask the visitors to do that because we do it for the visitors. So I don't agree with, I agree with Mr. Whitehead in this respect. There are other places that you can get money. Add it on to the octax, but don't think the octax is a mortal sin, because it's not. It's you'll think about it when you go on vacation and you go to Chicago and you pay 18% every night in a room. That's what we do here. And that's what we want to use that for, something that will eventually bring in even more money. And that's the people of the tax that will come in from being able to tax all year round for tourism instead of just for a few months. That's all.
Supervisor Diamond, you had a comment?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a couple of questions that I'd like to ask to a member or members of the coalition, if they could return to the podium on this particular resolution. I'll try to
On the
be
resolution.
as brief as possible with my comments. Thank you, Sam. I've read your pro forma on several occasions. We provided $50,000 to the town of Lake George through a resolution at our last full board meeting, with the idea at that point in time that this proposal would be vented, and my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, and there would be a recommendation that came out of that as a result of the $50,000. I also understand that this proposal has been fast tracked to where we are today, where you went to the occupancy tax meeting. I put the resolution to get this under motion, to have this discussion, to give this full board an opportunity to vote on this within your time frame. So I'm not going to go in detail with your business performance, but I do have a question that I would like to ask you and your organization of in regards to this performance. Amy Collins came here today and talked about a relationship, how important it is to have a relationship with the coalition. I agree with that. I can recall back when I was in the city of Glens Falls, we were hemorrhaging money at the Glens Falls Civic Center. I decided at that point in time, I couldn't spend any more of the general fund money. We had two options, either sell it or close it. At that time, and I don't know if everybody here was aware of that situation, at that time, I was determined to close it if it wasn't. The business community stepped up. They came to us with a check for $650,000 to help the city to get out from underneath the debt that was an annual debt that was reoccurring time and time again. That's what you call a relationship with a coalition. We also afforded them the opportunity to look at the numbers. They were determined at that time, if they made several changes to the business plan, which they were correct, that they could be successful. Now, the missing link to that relationship was they needed to have a tenant full-time in the building. They needed to have a hockey tenant to make it work. Again, the coalition reached into their pocket and went and bought a hockey team. That is an indication to me of a good relationship between the business community and the municipality. And they've been successful today. So my proposal, I've looked through your 5-year plan, return of investment. And their numbers, I'm not sold that this is going to be a slam dunk for Warren County, but I'm open to this. In year one, you're proposing that the county will receive, and I'm just talking about the 50% net profit back to the county, would receive $748,179. So you run that out over a 5-year period. You're proposing that we're going to receive, it's not a loan. We're going to receive $2,492,790. Now, if you're successful with this business plan, the new occupancy dollars will trend accordingly. You're bringing more money in, the occupancy taxes is going in the right direction. What I'd like to ask your organization, that after 5 years, that if we do not hit that number of $2,492,000, with the 50% net profit back to the county, are you willing to reimburse us for the difference between $2.4 million in the actual number. I will personally forego and not include, ask you in that reimbursement through the $800,000. I wouldn't ask you that, but I'd like to see the organization consider, if you want 100% voting base here today, that you offer that up to the county in case that we don't hit our numbers. If your numbers come up $100,000 short, well, you pay us $100,000, but we give you 5 years to get to that point. With that, is that something that you would consider today to have an agreement with Warren County drafted by our county attorney that you would reimburse us for any cost below which your projection?
That's a very fair question. Let me answer it this way. There's no limitation on the money coming back to the county. 5 years, 6 years, we'll pay back the $3 million. We have a contingency and half the profits to build on this and keep going and keep going. Our intentions after 5 years is to have enough money that we can start this over again. And we can continue, as I was asked earlier, on programs throughout the 5 years. It has to continually change to keep those consumers coming back. So we didn't put a limitation. We gave you a 5-year projection, but our goal is to pay back the $3 million. We're the only entity that came to you besides one that we put together during COVID with Christian Dutcher called Winterfest that paid back the money. We have all intentions, Mr. Diamond, to pay you back that. Now, our intentions were to pay more back, but we just learned the other day that legally we can't. We can only give you $3 million. So apologize, we can't give you more money because we would if we could.
And I appreciate your efforts there. But my question was more directed to, are you willing to sign an agreement to pay us that money, that $2,492,000, the difference between what you've accrued over 5 years with this business plan and pay the difference to make the county whole for the $2.4 million? Are you willing to sign an agreement? Like the coalition in Glens Falls, they came up with cash to bail out the city. It was very helpful. They took cash out of their pocket to buy a hockey team. You know, your business plan, I hope is a success story.
Thank you.
But my concern is that, is there a willingness of this business organization that are willing to, you know, put a pen to the contract and say, we'll make up the shortfalls in 5 years, within a 5-year period.
Mr. Chairman, can I?
Yes, please.
I just want to, from a legal perspective, clarify, because the entity that the county's got a contract with, the coalition, is a not-for-profit corporation. So there's certain limitations under New York state law of what a not-for-profit can and cannot do. Secondly, it almost sounds like a guarantee that the supervisor from Glens Falls is asking for. And so I'm just trying to better understand, is it a guarantee from the coalition? My concern is I'm not off the cuff able to say what those limitations or restrictions might be. My intention, my understanding, if this passes, is that the contract's going to provide for reimbursement up to the $3 million award of OC tax over the 5-year period, or it can be longer if that's the wish of the board.
So I guess if we framed his comments accordingly, if it was the wish of the board to extend it 7 years, well, then it's 7 years. You would be responsible for that number of 2.4 million. I'm just concerned about, you know, $3 million is a lot of money to me.
Yes.
And I know that the business people in Lake George have worked extremely hard. I also feel a responsibility to be a good steward of the occupancy tax dollars. People save their money to go on vacation. They save it all year to go on vacation. I wanted some assurance, and maybe it's just me, that when you say we're going to get paid back, we get it paid back. That's all.
Thank you.
We will meet
That,
as the,
that ends my comments for.
thank you, Ms. Now, we will certainly meet as a coalition, or I can give you our intentions.
Your group of people,
Yes.
maybe independently on this subject matter. Hey, we'll work with you, but
We have other comments.
I'd like to see some sort of an assurance over a 5-year period that we're gonna hit our numbers.
Supervisor Dixon.
You missed a little point there in your story, Jack. Warren County gave the coalition $250,000 a year. And they were going to do it for 5 years and see if they could get the Civic Center back on its feet. So we did 5 years. And at the end of 5 years, they said they couldn't make a go of it without the $250,000. They get $250,000 every year. There's no contingencies on it. There's no payback, nothing. But you run these guys through the ringer? Come on,
I
Jack.
don't think I'm running them through the ringer.
I do.
think it's a reasonable question to ask that, I mean, if you're not, you're comparing the cool arena with a event that is projected to be a success that we've never had or occurred in Lake George. I'm just giving you examples of how a coalition worked with the city of Glens Falls.
Okay,
Stop the $250,000.
Let's not debate.
Want to fund.
Dennis, yeah. Any other questions on Supervisor McGowan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I happened to have met with the coalition this week. And I was on the fence. Yes, it's a lot of money. I also went in with that attitude. And I was a little apprehensive with the 50,000 to start to go there. I look at what the coalition has done since the pandemic and the group when it was put together originally started during the pandemic and this is a group of business people in the Lake George and Glens Falls, in the tourism business, motels and restaurants, and I was impressed with the presentation. But before I went to that presentation, I went out and did some of my own research and looking into these light shows. And what I have seen across the country for the areas, just not with this company and some of the other ones of the what it has brought in. This is an attraction. This is a gamble. This is not a cogen plant, which I don't even want to get into, which I was against from day one and never understood that one. But this one I do understand. And this is based on tourism. And what the ice castle's done, so what I remember, 2 years ago when it was big for the ice bars, that was a great tour. That brought in a lot of people. So this correlation of what they're doing, yes, it is a gamble. And I'm not a big gambler, but I have a good feeling. And I don't mind going on the record saying this. I do have a good feeling that this gamble is going to pay off. And it's a quick. It came on strong, but we have to make a move to not lose it. If we can lock it in, I wish there was more guarantees of a payback. That was brought up. But this is a gamble, and it's something that we have to sing for an area that is based on tourism. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Supervisor Bader.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I met with Sam. Thank you, Sam, this week. I met with Kathy. Thank you, Kathy. I'm not sure what she's saying. She's in the back there. Okay. Thanks, Kathy. With Supervisor Bramer, unfortunately, she can't be here today. I asked them a lot of questions. One of the things I didn't ask or didn't realize until I believe the young lady standing up right there said that you would have an exclusive on the radios. That was a concern of mine, that when you said, well, if we lose it, Doug, we lose it. And I said, well, you know, I don't buy that. You know, I said, you know, somebody else will come in next year if it's a viable business solution or opportunity, another company will come in. But if when I heard that part, that Lake Placid could get the light show and then have the exclusive to it, that eliminated that concern, okay, of that. From a financial standpoint, I agree a little bit with the supervisor from Glens Falls. It's called skin in the game. Okay, I think that's what my colleague was trying to say, that the coalition from Glens Falls had skin in the game, and the county had skin in the game. The county put in $250,000. So those are the entities that put skin in the game. And when you have skin in the game, i.e. money, it becomes even more serious stuff, right? I mentioned to Sam that I would love to have seen them go to the LDC, which sits on $1.7 million, to the Lake George Lake Champlain Regional Planning Board, which is in the business of giving out loans. And Sam said they would have if it wasn't a time issue. That brought up my other concern, though. From my business standpoint or experience, whenever I get rushed, I said I make the wrong call 9 out of 10 times. So nothing against you guys. You're very well organized, but I feel rushed. And I can't get that feeling away. All right. It is what it is. 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Although you guys may have been working on it months before that. So, you know, I am really torn on this one. My gut's telling me don't rush, you know, do even fuller vetting of this project. On the other hand, you know, you're the second largest tourism. It's so important to this region, Warren County. I mean, without Lake George and tourism, we're just another has-been county, basically. And I don't like to be derogatory to the counties, but that's a reality. So I'm not sure how I'm going to vote, so it comes to my turn, but I appreciate the time and effort you all your people did, professionalism of it. I agreed with a lot of it. I disagreed with some of it. And so the funding part's a real issue for me, obviously. So thank you for taking the time, and all everybody took time out of their days to come up here and make their presentation. So I appreciate that. Thanks.
Thank you, Doug, and thank you for meeting us in private as well.
Supervisor Leggett, Supervisor Thomas.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. When I stepped in to be acting administrator, there was an RFP out that was looking to see what can be done with occupancy tax reserve. There's $4.8 million of taxpayers' money sitting there without any real direction on what to do with it. We've discussed it around the table here. My colleague to my left here has often said, put it into capital infrastructure and build something with it, something that will pay back year after year. And that is a good idea. And that would always be my first choice, is to get it back into the communities, be able to provide the infrastructure that can handle all the people coming in and enjoying our area, that can make these amenities. We did make some large awards out of that RFP, and they seem to be going pretty well. I would say there's some good feedback on that. But there was nothing of this magnitude. This is a huge ask right here for our board on what to do. But when you look at what we have in reserve, and what I look at is a group that has come together, we can make a vote right now, and whether we pass it or not, we have no skin in the game. Everybody that's here that's put forth this idea is putting a reputation out there, saying that they're making a good business decision on investing on this effort here. Their businesses, their organizations are all at stake. And so I am going to go with the credibility, the intelligence and the due diligence that all of the coalition have put in on this idea. And with that investment of our funds that are just sitting in the bank right now, and that investment into the community, that it comes back and returns 4% on every dollar for every person that stays in a hotel. That brings back 3% in sales tax to every purchase that comes from any of those visitors. That then fuels the extra expansion into it. And then I would like to see this county really start looking into what other capital investments can we use around here that will support sustainable tourism throughout the year. So I support this. This also came out of the Finance Committee with the full Finance Committee support.
Supervisor Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was just curious how the non-compete radius is enforced. I mean, what's to stop another company from locating within that radius and then starting up shop? I mean, who enforces it?
Yeah, the non-compete is for Moment Factory not to do another project. This is one of the largest, and Mr. Lloyd is with us. He works for Adirondack Studios. He has worked with Moment Factories. There won't be.
So it's a non-compete for a Moment Factory.
For Moment Factory, correct.
Gotcha.
Any other supervisors? Any other questions? Okay, we'll move on to resolutions. Request for roll calls. Any request for roll call votes? No?
Yeah, I think we would have roll call on all of the issues.
You're requesting?
Yeah.
26, 27, and 28 are a roll call.
Yep.
Okay. Then. Okay. All right, I guess we'll vote on resolutions. You ready? Yep. Okay,
Ready?
ready.
Resolution 326, approving tentative operating budget for fiscal year 2023-2024 for Adirondack Community College and providing for public hearing. Mr. Merlino,
Yes.
Mr. Stroud.
Second.
I'm sorry,
We're voting on it.
voting on. resolution.
Yeah.
Mr. McGowan,
Yes.
Mr. Beatty,
Yes, I'd like to make a comment though that SUNY Adirondack, Dr. Duffy does a great job. She knows I'm a huge supporter of them. The fact that they haven't increased their budget in 3 years approximately. Although my serious concern was the fact that we've lost from 2013 to 2023, we lost 44% of our population up there at SUNY Adirondack. It's not because of Dr. Duffy and her people, because she turns every stone, you know, so I think this is modest enough. I was originally against this. I will support this based on some new information. So I will, yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Runyon,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Leggett,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt,
Yes.
Mr. Bruno,
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll,
Yes.
Mrs. Frazier,
Yes.
Mr. Drossy,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson,
Yes.
Chairman Garrity.
Yes.
Resolution passes with 779 votes in favor. Resolution 327, amending resolution number 37 of 2023, which authorized agreements for certain applicants for the disbursement of 2023 occupancy tax revenues, to authorize agreements and funding to Warren County Winter Coalition, a not-for-profit corporation. Mr. Merlino,
Yes.
Mr. Stroud,
Yes.
Mr. McGowan,
Yes.
Mr. Beatty,
I hope this is the 1 out of 10 times I'm correct and 9 out of 10 times I'm wrong when I rush. So I'm going to say yes, but boy, I'm hesitant.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Runyon,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Leggett,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
On the aspect of the Warren County Winter Coalition and not-for-profit, funding is grouped in with these other resolutions. I'll support all of the others, except I will not support the funding to the coalition unless they're willing to agree to reimburse county for monies that they may not actually occur over the 5-year period, to my point earlier. So the rest of it, you grouped it all into one, because if I don't hear that the coalition has the willingness to agree to reimburse us, then I'm going to have to vote no. So, okay.
So
Thank you.
are you voting for it or against it?
Yes,
You're voting for it?
everything except for.
So the resolution is to amend it to include funding for the coalition. So are you voting for the resolution or against the resolution? Everything else is from a prior resolution.
Okay, okay.
So this is just amending it to include the coalition. So do you want to vote in favor of this resolution or
No.
against? No? Okay, so that's a no. Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll?
Yes.
Mrs. Frazier? Yes. Mr. Drossy?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes.
Resolution passes with 734 votes in favor. Resolution 328, authorizing appropriation of funds from the occupancy tax reserve to the tourism budget to make an award to the Warren County Winter Coalition and amending the 2023 Warren County budget. Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Mr. McGowan?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Runyon?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Leggett?
Yes.
Mr. Diamond?
No.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll?
Yes.
Mrs. Frazier? Yes. Mr. Drossy?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes.
Resolution passes with 734 votes in favor.
Okay. Can I have a request by the county attorney for executive session? Somebody want to make a motion, we go into executive session? Supervisor Grassi, second by Supervisor Bruno. You want to state the reason?
And the reason is to address matters under public offices law 105, 1D current litigation. And I would ask that the treasurer might want to be permitted to stay in the chamber.
All those in favor?
You need a motion.
Aye. All right.